In 1900, L. Frank Baum didn't just write a fairy tale. He wrote a horror story about the death of the human soul. We've been told the Tin Man is a hero seeking a heart. But the true story is much more clinical and far more disturbing. He wasn't born of tin. He was manufactured through a series of self-inflicted amputations. At the height of the Industrial Revolution, workers weren't seen as people. They were seen as replaceable parts. Lose an arm to a gear. You were broken. Replace it with iron and keep working. Baum took this nightmare to its logical, terrifying conclusion. A man who replaced himself piece by piece until there was nothing left of the original human but a hollow metal shell. It's time to go beyond the yellow brick road to uncover the meat grinder reality of the Tin Man. Why did he really lose his body? And why was a heart the only part that couldn't be made of iron? We all know the story of the Tin Man. It is one of the most famous, most romantic stories ever told. He is the simple, honest soul on the yellow brick road, trapped in a suit of metal, a prisoner of rust whose entire existence is driven by one singular, pure desire: to get a heart, to learn to love, to cry, to finally feel like a human being. But that familiar version of the story? It's a lie. The Tin Man already knows how to love. He already knows how to cry. He already has a heart, and that is what makes his story terrifying. His real horror isn't that he can't feel. It's that he was a man who chose to stop feeling. And now he is a prisoner in a mechanical existence where he is a literal cog in the machine. Today, we trace the true, terrifying origin of the Tin Man, Nick Chopper, to reveal why his whole quest for a heart is actually a desperate, futile search for the ability to feel pain again. The one thing the modern human cannot afford to do. To understand the modern tragedy of the Tin Man, we must look past the movie Technicolor and go back to the original text. The man who became a machine was named Nick Chopper, and he was, at first, a perfectly ordinary woodman. He was good at his job, and he was deeply, dangerously in love. But this is where the system intervened. The woman he loved had a rich, cruel guardian, the Wicked Witch of the East. She was not concerned with Nick's life or his happiness, only with her own selfish desires, and she used her power to set a curse on Nick's axe. This curse didn't strike him down in one magical blow. It was far more insidious, far more terrifying. The curse caused Nick's axe to perpetually slip, injuring him again and again. First, the axe chopped off his leg. Nick, dedicated to his love and his work, went to the local tinsmith. The smith forged him a perfect, functional, polished tin leg. Nick was happy. Then came another blow, and he replaced his other leg. Then an arm. Then the other arm. He was systematically disassembled and rebuilt, piece by functional piece, replacing his body with cold, efficient metal. This isn't just magic. This is industrial horror. The curse was far more than a spell. It was the unrelenting, dehumanizing cycle of labor that forces the worker to sacrifice their well-being for productivity. Nick Chopper was literally forced to keep working, to keep producing, even if it meant sacrificing a piece of himself every single day. His will was broken by the sheer mechanical repetition. He kept replacing his parts until he had a tin head, a tin body, and finally, a metal heart was all that was left of the man. Nick Chopper had become the perfect worker, tireless and utterly, functionally empty. He lost his ability to weep for his lost love because the witch, the system, had correctly identified that his feelings, his capacity for love and pain, were the single greatest threat to his productivity. He became the machine. After enduring the long journey, the fear, and the rust, Nick Chopper finally stands before the great and terrible Wizard of Oz. He is at the end of his quest, ready to receive the one thing that will restore his humanity: a heart. The wizard, being a fraud, cannot magically give life to metal. He cannot put a human heart inside a tin chest. So what does he do? The wizard gives the Tin Man an object, a beautiful velvet pillow stuffed with sawdust, and places it carefully inside his tin shell. But this is not an organ. It is a token. It is a symbol. The wizard's gift is the ultimate deception. It proves the very point of our analysis. The wizard doesn't give him a real heart. He simply gives Nick Chopper permission to believe he has one. He gives him an external source of validation, a ceremony to mark the fact that his quest is over. L. Frank Baum wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1900, at the height of the Industrial Revolution. While the concept of a taxpayer identification number, T.I.N., didn't exist yet, Baum witnessed the birth of its predecessor, the serialized human. Nick Chopper didn't just lose his limbs, he lost his humanity in installments. Every time the cursed axe took a piece of him, he bought a better replacement from the industrial machine. He believed he was repairing himself, but he was actually just subscribing to a system that eventually owned 100% of his body. The horror of the Tin Man isn't that he's made of metal. It's that he is the ultimate accounting entry. In the eyes of the Emerald City, he isn't Nick Chopper, the woodsman who loves a munchkin girl. He is the T.I.N. man, a taxpayer identification number. He is a serialized commodity. By the time the transformation was complete, the heart wasn't missing because of a curse. It was missing because the system has no line item for love. You cannot tax a feeling. You cannot automate a heartbeat. So, the system simply optimized them out of existence. This is the ultimate horror of the Tin Man story. We think we're Nick Chopper, individuals making upgrades to our lives to be more efficient, more productive, more durable. But the industrial machine doesn't see your struggle. It only sees your serial number. In the end, we aren't humans with tools. We are tools with names, until the name is eventually replaced by a number. Welcome to the assembly line. You're finally perfect. And this is the ultimate horror of the Tin Man's story, and our final, dark takeaway for the modern cog. The Tin Man was never truly heartless. He was capable of weeping for a crushed bug and was driven by compassion throughout the entire journey. He was always capable of feeling, but the systematic, mechanical existence he entered had taught him to discount his own feelings. He believed that unless a powerful, external authority, a wizard, certified his emotions, those emotions simply did not count. His story proves that we, the modern cogs, are not physically empty. We still have the capacity for pain and love. But we have been so thoroughly socialized by the system of unrelenting work and productivity to ignore our inner self that we wait, paralyzed, until some external wizard tells us it is safe to feel again. The Tin Man's quest wasn't about finding a heart. It was about finding the validation to use the one he already had. The truth of the Tin Man, Nick Chopper, is that his story is not fantasy. It's a dark, prophetic vision of the modern soul. He is the perfect metaphor for the person trapped in the relentless grind. A human inside a metallic shell, constantly moving and productive, yet terrified to stop, terrified to be vulnerable, and terrified to feel the messy, unproductive pain of a real human heart. L. Frank Baum wrote The Tin Man as a warning about a heartless machine age. It turns out Disney has been hiding similar warnings in plain sight for decades. If you want to see the terrifying reason why Tinker Bell was never actually a friend to the Lost Boys, click here. The truth is much darker than a sprinkle of pixie dust. Thanks for watching.